Good morning, students. In this video, we will study reaction of metals with salts of other metals. So for that, what you have to take? You have to perform one experiment, and for that apparatus should be copper wire, iron nail, bigger beaker or big test tube. Then chemicals you have to take aqueous solution of ferrous sulfate and copper sulfate. See children, it is shown very clearly in your textbook in figure 8.4. So you have to take a clean copper wire and a clean iron nail, and you have to dip the copper wire in ferrous sulfate solution and iron wire in copper sulfate solution, and you have to keep observing the reaction at a fixed interval of time. Means suppose if you are observing after every 10 minutes, so you have to keep it observing after every 10 minutes, and you have to see in which test tube a reaction has taken place. And how will you come to know that reaction has taken place and what is the type of reaction? So see children, here the reaction has taken place in the first test tube, here in which where iron nail is dipped in copper sulfate solution, and here the type of reaction is displacement reaction. Now we will study how is this reactivity series of metals. See children, reactivity of all the metals is not the same, and the reagents oxygen, water and acids are not useful to determine the reactivity. So how will you come to know? And the displacement reaction, with the help of displacement reaction, we will come to know the reactivity of metals. How it is? See, if suppose a metal A displaces another metal B from the solution, then metal A is more reactive than the metal B. See children, here reaction is shown in your textbook. Suppose here metal A and salt solution of metal B, and in the products salt solution of metal A plus metal B, means here in this displacement reaction metal A displaces salt solution of metal B, so metal A is more reactive than metal B. So in the given experiment, what happens here? Iron has displaced copper from copper sulfate solution. That means iron is more reactive than metals. Then reactivity series is shown children. See, the scientists have done so many experiments, and because of that only they have studied the reactivity series. The arrangement of metals in the increasing or decreasing order of reactivity is called the reactivity series, and metals are divided into following groups according to their reactivity. Which are the three types? Highly reactive metals, means which is too much highly reactive. Moderately reactive metals, means not too much, not too low. And less reactive metals. Now see children, in this reactivity series of metals, the chart is shown in to you. See the first one, potassium, sodium, lithium and calcium. They react with water, and how is the reactivity? It is higher. Then magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, tin and lead, it react with acid also and react with oxygen also. Their reactivity is moderate. Then copper, mercury and silver, they react with oxygen, and how is the reactivity? It is also not too much high, not too much low, it is also medium, and reactivity of gold is very low. Now we will see reaction of metals with non-metals. See children, noble gases, we know noble gases like helium, neon, argon, they do not take part in the chemical reaction, and we have seen that reaction of metals, cations are formed. How the cations? Means positively charged ions. How they are formed? By the oxidation of metals. And if we see the electronic configuration of some metals and non-metals, what we see that the electronic configuration, what they are doing, they are attaining the इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फिगरेशन ऑफ नोबल गॅसेस. म्हणजे आपण बघितलं आहे कोणते जे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आहे जेव्हा त्यांचं केमिकल रिॲक्शन होते तेव्हा ते काय करतात, एक तर इलेक्ट्रॉन देतात आणि इलेक्ट्रॉन घेतात. का बरं? जेणेकरून त्यांचं जे शेल आहे ते कंप्लीट झालं पाहिजे, आणि ते कंप्लीट कोण झालं म्हणजे काय झालं, ते एक प्रकारचे इनर्ट गॅस तयार झाले, म्हणजे ते आपलं ऑक्टेट कंप्लीट करतात. तर मेटल्स कंप्लीट कसे करतात? हाऊ द मेटल्स आर डुईंग? Metals do this by losing electrons, means by giving electrons, and non-metals do this by gaining electrons. म्हणजे ते आपलं ऑक्टेट जे कंप्लीट करतात, मेटल्स आपले इलेक्ट्रॉन्स देऊन करतात आणि नॉन मेटल्स आपले इलेक्ट्रॉन्स घेऊन करतात. आणि आउटरमोस्ट शेल जे आहे जे जर कंप्लीट झालं तर ते काय होऊन जाते, कंप्लीट झाल्यानंतर ते केमिकली इनर्ट होऊन जातात. वी हॅव सीन इन द प्रिवियस स्टँडर्ड ऑल्सो चिल्ड्रन, इन द लोअर क्लासेस ऑल्सो. Sodium reacts with chlorine. How it reacts? By giving one electron. Sodium is giving one electron and chlorine is taking one electron. Means 2Na plus Cl2 gives you 2NaCl. In the same way, it forms in magnesium also and potassium also. Now we will see chemical properties of non-metals. Non-metals, what are they? They are a collection of elements having less similarity in physical and chemical property. म्हणजे नॉन मेटल्समध्ये फिजिकल आणि केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीमध्ये सारखेपणा फार कमी आहे. अँड वॉट वी हॅव सीन in previous video we have seen that metals are electropositive. Why? Because they are giving electrons, and non-metals are here. We will see that non-metals are called electronegative elements. Why? Because they are accepting electrons. So now we will see reaction of non-metals with oxygen. Non-metals combines with oxygen to form acidic oxides and they combine with neutral also and form neutral oxides. See, the reactions are given. C plus O2 gives you CO2, that means it is acidic. 2C, that means carbon plus oxide, it forms 2CO, that means it is neutral. Then S plus O2 gives you SO2, that means it is also acidic oxide. Now we will see reaction of non-metals with water. Here also generally non-metals do not react with water, only they react with except with halogens. So we can see the reaction is given. Chlorine on dissolving in water gives the following reaction. Then reaction of dilute acids with non-metals. Here generally non-metals do not react with dilute acid except halogens, only halogens react with them. So chlorine reacts with hydrobromic acid and gives the reaction which is given in your textbook. Then the reaction of non-metals with hydrogen. Non-metal reacts with hydrogen under some conditions like temperature, pressure and use of catalyst. See, S plus H2 gives you H2S and N2 plus 3,2 gives you 2NH3. Now the next topic we will see, that is the ionic compound. See children, how the ionic compounds are formed? By two units, cations and anions. I told you earlier, cations means positively charged ions and anions means negatively charged ion. And as they are oppositely charged, म्हणजे त्यांच्या oppositely charged असल्यामुळे त्यांच्यामध्ये force of attraction असते. And this force of attraction between cation and anion are called ionic bonds. Then what happens, this magnitude of these charges, हे दोन्ही चार्जेसवरचे जे मॅग्निट्यूड आहे ते एकमेकाला बॅलन्स करतात, and that's why ionic compound is electrically neutral. Then see children, ionic compounds are crystalline in nature, and all this and the surface of all the particles, म्हणजे प्रत्येक पार्टिकल जे सरफेस असते ते कसं असते, स्मूथ अँड शायनी, and it has a definite shape. Then regular arrangement of ions, what happens, it depends upon the oppositely charged ions. Means the regular arrangement of ions in a crystal, it depends upon the attractive force between oppositely charged ions and repulsive force between similarly charged ions. म्हणजे जे जनरल अरेंजमेंट असते जे आयन्सचं त्या आयोनिक कंपाऊंडमध्ये, ते कशावर डिपेंड्स असते, ॲट्रॅक्टिव्ह फोर्स आणि रिपल्सिव्ह फोर्स. ॲट्रॅक्टिव्ह फोर्स अपोजिटली चार्ज आयन्समध्ये आणि रिपल्सिव्ह फोर्स एकसारख्या आयन्समध्ये. Because of this general crystalline structure has negative ions arranged around a positive ions and a positive ions arranged around a negative ions. हे जे जनरल स्ट्रक्चर आहे याच्यामुळे काय असते, निगेटिव्ह आयन्सच्या आजूबाजूला पॉझिटिव्ह आयन्स असतात आणि पॉझिटिव्ह आयन्सच्या आजूबाजूला निगेटिव्ह आयन्स असतात. अँड two factors are there responsible for crystal structure. दोन factors आहेत जे crystal structure करता responsible आहे ते म्हणजे size of the positively and negatively charged ions and magnitude of the electrical charge. त्यांचे size positive and negative charge ions आणि त्याचे magnitude. The electrostatic attraction in the neighboring ions with opposite charges is very strong. म्हणजे ज्याच्यामध्ये जे फोर्स ऑफ अट्रॅक्शन जे असते ते व्हेरी स्ट्रॉंग असते, त्यामुळे त्याचं मेल्टिंग पॉईंटसुद्धा स्ट्रॉंग असते. दॅट इज वाय द मेल्टिंग पॉईंट ऑफ आयोनिक कंपाऊंड्स आर व्हेरी हाय. ऑल्सो द आयोनिक कंपाऊंड्स आर हार्ड अँड ब्रिटल. Okay children, so in the next video we will study about the properties of ionic compounds.